we will pick our teams for the game. Alisson Becker will be back in goal after Quirijn Kelleher deputised for him midweek. For me, Ghosty, the back four kind of picks itself with one eye on Manchester City and obviously Porto between then. I'd be going with Trent and Robertson and Matip and Van Dijk. Which four are you going to go for?
Yeah, I think so. I've seen quite a few. I've seen a couple of things since the Norwich game where people are starting to get a bit high on Kostas Tsimikas, to the point where they question whether he might be better than Andy Robertson. And I just think, hold your horses. He's played a handful of games and he hasn't let anyone down, but there's a long way between that and being one of the absolute very best left backs in Europe. So, yeah, I'm bringing Robertson back in. Trent's obviously fine again after missing last week with Zaha-itis, according to James Milner. So, Liverpool going strong with the back five at Brentford for me.
Theo, are you in agreement? Which five? I was going to say, which four is it for you across the back line?
Well, this four, if they're all fit, is going to be the four that starts against Man City. So the question is, how much do you want to play them this week with that Porto game? Like, if you go for the four of them against Brentford, you're going to probably vary up at least one of them against Porto in midweek, because it's a big ask, I suppose, at this stage to keep having Van Dijk or Matip playing 3 fixtures in a week. So it might be one where he wants to give one of the centre-backs the night off, but then they have just had the night off themselves. So rather than overthinking it, I'll stick with the traditional ones, as we're saying for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of Van Dijk or Matip did drop out with one eye on Porto and then one eye on City.
We'll move on to the midfield then. For me, Ghosty, it's Fabinho, Henderson and one more. The one more for me is going to be Curtis Jones, but there are one or two other options, as we mentioned before.
Yeah, there are. As Theo mentioned, there are still loads of midfield options despite the injuries that they've picked up there already. Fabinho and Henderson. And I'm going to go Curtis Jones.
Theo, who are you going to go with?
Yeah, Curtis Jones. I think it's the sort of game that he can really thrive in. We saw him in that number 6 role in midweek. You'd like to see him be a bit more offensive in this one. Hopefully he can stake a claim and show that he isn't this forgotten man in the Liverpool midfield.
And the front line as well, Ghosty, is fairly straightforward for me. I think Diogo Jota does need a bit of a rest, but obviously there's a bit of a question mark over how fit Roberto Firmino is. I think it'll be Salah and Mane. I'm going to go with Jota for this one and bring Firmino off the bench. What are you going to go for?
Yeah, that seems to be the one that's leading the way at the moment, isn't it? But I think you could play either or Origi or Minamino for this one as well, with Salah and Mane in there. Maybe Origi down the middle. I'm going to go with.
Interesting. Theo, who are you going to go for?
I fancy going for Minamino. He got his couple of goals in midweek, and he's looking sharp. He's not had many opportunities this season. He had a good pre-season. Like Jones, I feel like it's the sort of game he could do well in. Diogo Jota hasn't had the best couple of games recently. He's looked a bit tired. He's missed a couple of good chances. Let him sit this one out and then give him a start against Porto. It's back in his homeland. You think that's the sort of game he could do well in? And then it's whoever plays well, like you have Roberto Firmino, back to full fitness. Hopefully by then, it's grab your shirt for the City game. Whoever plays well in these two can stake that claim to be alongside Salah and Mane. But yeah, Minamino deserves a go in the Premier League. We've seen a bit more of Origi this season, so let's see what Minamino can do.
Yeah, I'm sure if Roberto Firmino doesn't start, we'll probably see him off the bench at some point after his injury. But just before we go, we'll do our usual match predictions. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win. I think Mohamed Salah will be on the scoreline once again. Ghosty, how do you reckon it might play out?
I don't see them conceding, to be honest. I just think that the way they're defending now as a unit, and if you do pick that first choice back five, then I can't see Brentford breaking through, even with Tony in a bit of form. So, yeah, I'll go 2-0.
Theo, clean sheet or no clean sheet?
Yeah, I think I can go along with a 2-0 as well. It's one where if Matip and Van Dijk can keep a Lukaku quiet, it doesn't matter how in form Ivan Toney is, you'd like to think they can do the same. Obviously, they're going to have a big boost for Brentford. It's a big day for them playing against Liverpool and for Toney testing himself against the best centre-back in the world. But Liverpool looks so good defensively at the moment. Even when they have to make all those changes and have the odd slip up, they're still keeping the clean sheet. So you'd like to think they have enough to get another clean sheet and get what will come the final whistle should be a final comfortable win, even if it doesn't feel like that during the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a frantic game under the lights on Saturday evening. We'll have all of the reaction to the Brentford match across the Liverpool Echo, Liverpool.com and the Blood Red channel. We'll be reacting to that as well as building up to the Champions League clash with FC Porto on Monday's edition of the podcast. For now, though, from myself, Matt Addison, Paul Gorst and Theo Squires, it's goodbye for now.